guys, my name's Lisa,
And I'm Brittany.
And I'm Tara.
and this is the Imperfect Moms Club.
In this episode, we talk about disciplining children and what that looks like for anxious moms.
If anyone's listening because they want to find out, they want to listen to some discipline experts, it's not us. I've been a childcare professional for almost 10 years and I'm still figuring stuff out. So
so lately Lily has been, she just doesn't listen. She doesn't listen. She's gonna be 2 next month, and I guess it's normal, but I'm like over it. I'm over it. I'm just like, come on, lady, like you need to start listening to mama. And then before I had children, I was like, oh yeah, like throw them in timeout if they're being bad, like whatever. But like now I'm like, it breaks my heart. Paul and I have decided like we put her in a room or whatever. We'll put her in a crib or something for like 5 minutes. It's just 5 minutes. That's it. But it feels like 5 years. Like I'm in the kitchen and I'm trying to distract myself, and I keep looking at the clock like a crazy person because I'm like, how many minutes have gone by? And she's screaming bloody murder her head off, and so I'm just like, oh my god. And then the next time that she's being bad, Paul's like, do you want to go in your room? And I'll say no because I don't want to deal with that. Like I don't want to go through that, even though I know that it's good for her, and I don't even know what to do. Like I'm struggling because I don't want her to hate me, but I want her to listen to me. And it's just, and then like anxiety and stuff like makes everything worse. And so I'm just like, I don't know. So like you have older kids. So what do you do?
Because there's definitely the discipline part where you want to teach them, obviously, like self-control and how to wait when mommy has to say no, or, they want to eat ice cream for breakfast or whatever. Like, that's really hard. And that's, depending on the age. Like with Clara, I can definitely sit down and like talk to her eye to eye, and I try to explain it in terms that a 6-year-old would understand. I try not to be like with her just yes no. Like I try and explain why, just because I don't want it to seem very I don't want to be a dictator, you know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm the mom and I have to make some decisions, and she's probably not going to like every single decision I ever make for her. But I don't want it to feel very like a dictator, because I feel like a lot of 90s kids grew up and 80s kids grew up where it was just like, you do what I say and you dare talk back to me, and part of it was like, I just want to have a conversation. Like, I just want to understand why you're making this decision, or why this or why that. And then with Molly, I'm trying to get there too, but she's only 3. So sometimes I feel like I'm trying to explain these big terms to this little 3-year-old, and she's looking at me like, what? I'm just like, okay, you know what? Mommy has to say no right now, but yes, we'll do it later. And then sometimes, when I'm having like a really bad anxiety day or depression day, and then the whining just builds and builds and builds, and
oh my god,
it's like I said before, at some point I just kind of have to give in, or I just have to say no, and I can't explain, I can't get into the whys of everything, and I just have to be like, here's the TV, here's the tablet, I can't right now. Or if they're being really bad and I need Mike to step in, I might have to like leave, just because hearing them be so upset, it just like, it triggers me, and it'll just ruin my entire day. So sometimes I just have to pull away. I just can't.
I have such a hard time with it. I do that too, where I try to reason with her, but she's not even 2 yet. Like, so she's all irrational and she's just like doing whatever. And so I'm trying to like rationalize with like an irrational person, and I keep trying to do that. I feel like I do that in all aspects of my life. And Paul's always like, you're trying to reason with somebody who can't reason, like, what are you doing? And so I'm like, I don't know, why can't you understand that you can't do this, And so like it's hard. So sometimes, when I've been having a lot of anxiety lately, I guess because we have a newborn, and so I'm thinking, my postpartum is kind of starting to like rear its ugly face again. But so I've been having some rough days, and so like when she's being bad, like sometimes I say no a lot, and like there are some times where my voice like goes up or whatever, and I feel so bad because I don't want her to be afraid of me, and like I want her to love me, and I want to like hug her, but she's being so naughty, and I
Mm-hmm.
just like I don't know what to do. And so so Paul's like, you need to be stern with her, but then when he's stern with her, it triggers me too because of like past stuff. And so that's hard for me to like listen to. And so just earlier today, he kind of picked her up and he was like, you need to listen to whatever. And I don't know, I just like freaked out internally. Like I was like panic mode. Like I was a little kid all of a sudden, and that was like my dad or whatever. And so I was like, oh my God, like why are you talking to my kid like that? But really, I mean, he wasn't yelling at her. He was just
Mm-hmm.
being stern. And so it's like I'm trying to figure out how to I mean, again, it's parenting through depression and parenting through anxiety. Only, now it's like, okay, we're trying to discipline your child, but you have all these issues with that exact thing sometimes. And so you have to kind of,
Mm-hmm.
it's really complicated.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I hope I'm doing a good job. Like, I don't
right.
know.
Well, because kids need to have boundaries to feel safe and just to thrive. Like they've done studies. And honestly, anytime someone's like, oh, they did a study, I take it with a grain of salt because for every one study, there's like 10 other ones that show
Yeah.
the other thing. But this one, so they did this study where they had these little kids and they had a playground. And for a certain period of time, the playground had no fence.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids stayed really, really, really close to the playground and they wouldn't venture out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then they put the fence up and the kids went right up to the fence and no one like climbed the fence, or as far as I can tell. But the kids were happier and they thrived better outside when they knew where the boundary was. They knew I can go this far. So we have to give kids boundaries. We have to teach them. But like when you have, your own personal issues, it makes it that much harder because you're trying not to trigger yourself
Mm-hmm.
while you're disciplining or while you're teaching them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we can almost project our problems onto them. Like I can be very emotional and very sensitive. So sometimes I think that my daughter's that way, and she might be at sometimes, but sometimes she's not. And I'm just thinking that she is because I overthink everything.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
Yeah. So you know what? She is my daughter. So maybe she does take after me and she's a little sensitive and she probably does overthink everything. That doesn't necessarily mean that every single time she's having a meltdown, I need to sit down and pretend to be a therapist. Sometimes she just needs a hug, or sometimes she just needs 5 minutes. Right. Or sometimes I need 5 minutes, maybe it's not them who need the timeout. Maybe it's me. Like, I'm just like, go to your room. They have the little Amazon Alexa in there. And I'm like, go listen to a couple of stories on that. And I just need a minute. I need a minute. And sometimes, if I do lose my temper, I go back to them and I say, I'm sorry. And they're always like, we love you, we forgive you. Like that. My kids forgive so fast. And then I'm just like feel guilty after. But also talking about trying to reason with someone who's unreasonable. So my daughter just had her birthday. She's 6. So she got all these birthday presents. Well, my 3-year-old doesn't understand that her birthday is not till fall. So she's like, well, I want my birthday now. And I'm like, well, I can't. That's just not how it works. She's like, well, I don't want to wait till September. I'm like, well, I can't really control that. Like, you popped out in September. And I'm trying to explain, these are her new toys. Like, yes, she's going to share, but they're brand new. So let her play with them and then you'll get a turn. And but on the couch this morning, trying to explain to this kid why she wasn't born the same month her sister was born, was just like, this isn't computing, is that? No.
I'm sure you weren't expecting to like have to have that conversation. Like,
no, I didn't wake up thinking I'm going to have to explain to my 3-year-old why she was born in September. I'm like, this is a really big concept. Like, just know that these are her toys. They're brand new. They're so special, but she will share. I promise you'll get a turn. And then her new word is forever. So I'll say, I'm doing dishes. So give me 10 minutes and then we'll turn on the TV, or give me 10 minutes and then we'll go to the store. It's gonna take forever. Then she like rolls and she's like, those crocodile documentaries where the crocodile's like rolling around the
Yeah.
That's what she does. And then I'm trying to like wrangle her and I'm like, what? I can't get my grip on her. I'm
Oh,
like,
man.
okay, I'm just gonna let you do your thing. But yeah, that's her thing is this gonna take forever. Like, no, like 5 minutes. It's not forever, I promise. I mean, this will make it feel like it takes forever.
You brought up like 90s and 80s kids. So that reminds me, like my mom, we're gonna have an episode about moms and
Mhm.
mothers-in-law. But like, so my mom, she'll always say that I like never cried and like I never whatever. And then when we try to like if we try to discipline Lillian or if we let her cry for a little bit or whatever, my mom gets like really, really upset about that and like wants us to like do all the stuff. And so it's frustrating because now, like thinking back on it, I'm like, okay, well, what did that teach me growing up? Like, was I
Mhm.
not, did I really never cry? Like I would have had to learn to self-soothe at some point. And same, like, so we're talking about like discipline and stuff. Like, I'm thinking about my mom. Like, did my mom discipline me? Like, how did my mom discipline me? Like, I don't even know if she'd be honest if I asked her, because I mean, I don't know. It's just, so I'm thinking about like, I don't even have, like, I don't feel like I know anything from my mom. Like, it's not like I can be like, oh, my mom did this and it really worked, so I'm gonna try it with Lillian. Like, I'm just really like just flying by the seat of my pants.
Mhm.
And so I have no idea how to like discipline an almost 2-year-old. And so like it's just, but yeah, that's interesting to me that you brought that up, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately, is um like our parents would have done things so differently than like we're trying to do. And so it's kind of hard to, we think back on some things that they did and we're like, well, I don't want to do it that way, and so really is brand new. Like,
Mhm.
we put her in a room for 5 minutes. Is that okay to
Oh
do?
yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. Like, I mean, like you've got to start somewhere. And like I said, sometimes like it's not her who needs a timeout. Sometimes it's you,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, it does feel like it's forever, that 5 minutes when they're screaming and you're already like worked up,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But yeah, and some people are like, oh, you shouldn't call it a timeout. And I'm just like, okay, well then they need a break. You know, they need
Yeah.
a break. And some people will say, oh, well, that doesn't fix anything because you're just removing them from the situation and you're not teaching them. I'm like, no. I go afterwards and I talk to them after they've had a minute to scream and
Yeah.
hopefully chill afterwards, because I can't talk to them while they're screaming, or I can't
Yeah.
talk to them in
They're
the
not going to listen to
moment.
anything. Yeah.
So I'm not just ignoring the problem. I mean, obviously, if you're just shoving them in a room and hoping it fixes itself, that's not going to do it, And when they're little, like they can just forget what happened within 2 seconds. They come out and they're like, hi, this is great. Can we have some ice cream now? And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm mad.
I'm still upset. Yeah.
Yeah, they get over it so fast. Like if you watch toddlers or even babies when they start sitting up and kind of playing together, sort of, one baby will take a toy from another baby and they'll be so mad at each other and screaming. And then within 30 seconds, they're best friends again. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so their memory is really short. They're like
Yeah.
goldfish. They're on the fish bowl. But then they'll
Yeah.
randomly remember something for the rest of their lives. So I'm just like, how does that work? I don't understand.
I just like, I don't know. And I mean, anxiety is really like a killer, because I just feel like I'm like a bad mom, or I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing the thing that I should be doing, in quotes. And like, I just, it's, so I don't know. I hope that and I mean, she's not too young for timeouts. Like, is she like, is almost 2? Like, is that okay
Oh
to
no,
do?
I think that's a great time to start, because even when we had little babies in our daycare, like we had one baby and I loved this baby, but he was like a lot. And I had to put him in his crib and he wasn't even 2 yet. And I was like, you just need to sit here for a minute. And it would only be a couple minutes because he was little, but I'm like, you just need a minute
Yeah.
because you're gonna hurt somebody, or
Oh.
like just sit here. So I even would do that with like a little one. But obviously when they're 2, I'm not gonna like, I mean, when he was really small, I wouldn't sit him down later and say, now let's think about that, Johnny. I would just like, all right, let's distract you. Let's go do something else.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's the older they get, the more you need to talk with them too after the fact or during the fact, explaining
Mhm.
why they need a break or why you need a break or why they can't have the bubble machine or whatever the thing is.
Mhm.
Um, because I feel like a lot of 80s and 90s and even still today, parents just kind of like they like do the discipline part and then they just kind of like don't do the teaching part. But
Mhm.
discipline is supposed to be teaching. So yeah, you kind of want to associate something negative with negative behavior. So it's like, well, if you hit, then you don't get to do this. Or if you, I don't know, throw a toy at your sister's head, then this thing's going to happen. And that's not
Yeah.
fun, is it? And the older they get, I talk more. Like I had one girl at school and she would just be a little bit mean to her
Mhm.
friends. And because she wasn't my kid, I had to be really careful with how I was trying to teach her. And I just pulled her aside because she was so smart. And I was like, let's call her Lucy. I don't know. Lucy. It's like, listen, you're a really smart girl. You're a lot of fun, but you're being really mean right now. And so if you're going to keep doing this, you're not going to have any friends in the future. And I don't want you to be like that. I want you to have lots of friends. I want everyone to come to your birthday party and your slumber parties and come to your house to play. But if you keep doing this other bad thing's going to happen. So I try to associate the two,
Mhm.
but she was older, and I'll do the same thing with my older one. I'll be like, okay, listen, if you keep not sharing with your little sister, she's not going to want to share any of her things with you either, or,
Mhm.
just trying to associate those two bad things. Like this
Yeah.
action is this reaction,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's just I mean, I think it is just like I just need to get over this like transition of having a newborn because I can't deal with like a newborn that needs to eat all the time and a toddler that won't listen to me, especially since like Lily's obsessed with her little sister. And
Mm-hmm.
so she'll try to like climb up on top of her and like hug her and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, like you can't.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes I'll put the bassinet in the living room, and so Lily will like try to climb up into it or like hang on it, and I'm like, no, you can't do that, but she won't listen to me. And so I'm like trying to get a bottle ready, but like I also can't look away from the two of them because I don't want Lily to accidentally murder her sister, you know? And so like I'm just having a hard, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's like the anxiety like builds up and then I'm like like and
Yeah.
then all I can do is like kind of raise my voice and then I feel really bad. And so like I think honestly instead of just like disciplining Lillian, I think the thing for me is I just need to train myself like more than like I think that Lily's fine. I'm the one that needs that
Mm-hmm.
needs some training on that because yeah, I need to be able to like keep my cool more. I don't know. I mean, I've been a mom of two for like 2 weeks. I
Right.
can give
Yeah.
myself a little bit of a break, but
Yes.
but this disciplining thing has been kind of a struggle for me.
Yeah.
Especially because I can't seem to not get triggered. Like every time that she needs to take a time out, like it really, really hurts me. It like breaks my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't do it. And so I mean, but I need to be able to do that, right? Like I need to be able to like parent and be like, like I can't just be her best friend all the time. Like I need to be it's just hard. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear Paul like being firm, like I don't know, I don't like it.
No,
It's totally
yeah.
normal, but I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, like this morning, she was throwing a fit because she wanted her sister's toy that she got for her birthday. And I'm like trying to reason with her. And she just lost it. She just started throwing a big kissy fit. And eventually Mike stepped in and he took her to her room and she had to stay in there for, I don't know, until she calmed down or whatever. And he was being really stern. Like he wasn't being mean. He was just being stern. And I was just sitting there like, oh, like I was trying, I wasn't getting anywhere. It's not like I really wasn't getting anywhere. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, she needed someone else to step in because she probably started wrapping me around her finger at that point and I didn't even know it yet. Sometimes it does take an outside person to kind of step in. And I do it to him too sometimes. Sometimes he's trying to discipline and I'm like, this isn't going well. So I'll like step in and get in there too, And like I try to do a lot of preventative stuff, like distracting or when you do see them doing something good you praise them and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that was great, and you try and redirect and do all of that as much as I can. But then it's not every single day I'm gonna be super mom. I can't. I'm a
Yeah.
human. Like I'm gonna mess up, and they're
Yeah.
little kids and they're gonna mess up, and sometimes they're jerks and I love them, but sometimes they're a bunch of little jerks. I'm like, you guys. Like I'll be like, okay, can you guys just pick up the My Little Ponies? Meanwhile, I have just loaded the dishwasher. I have a laundry basket in my hand. I'm on the phone with the doctor trying to set up the thing, and they're like, oh. And then I go into this mode and I'm like, I do all of your dishes and I make your beds and I buy all of your clothes and that. And they start looking at me like I'm a crazy person, because at that point I am. And I'm like, could you just help me for 2 seconds? Most of the time they do. But yeah, I don't know. I can't be super mom every day.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Children's Business Fair. Do you know an extraordinary child, a budding superstar who's ready to take on the world and who loves to have fun? If so, he or she deserves a chance to shine at the Children's Business Fair, a one-day event where young people can launch and showcase a business. You'll be amazed by what children can accomplish, and it's a great way to bring neighbors together amid sunshine and laughter. At a children's business fair, children will make something with their own hands, sell it safely to a stranger, and experience the freedom and responsibility of having a little extra spending money as a reward. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply and as little as 3 hours to plan a fair. Just set up a few tables on a lawn and send a few emails to friends and family. You can host a fair for free, and they'll even chip in up to $500 as prize money. Sound too simple? Join parents who want to equip and inspire their children to shine in the real world. Start your audition to host a children's business fair in your community, or find out more at podcast.childrensbusinessfair.org.
I just need to get better at it. I don't know. I'm just not good at the being stern thing. I can't be stern. So like literally, like I'm a really sweet person, but like if I get upset with somebody, like I don't have any tact either. So I'm either like too nice or I'm a bitch. So obviously I don't want to be a B word, so I like try to be like super nice all the time, but then like I'm also like a huge pushover when it happens. So like I've always had kind of that struggle, like I can't just find a happy middle. And I'm like, Lisa, you have to be better. Like you're a mom now. Like come on. But then there's still part of me that feels like I'm 17. Like what am I?
Yes. I was like a really picky eater when I was a kid, and my mom would do this thing where she would discipline me, or I think like every person who was my age probably had to do this when they were a kid, where you would sit there at the table until you ate whatever it was that was on the table, and like you couldn't get up, and it would be like cold and gross, and you have to just sit there. Well, one time she only did this once, and I think it's because she realized it was really gross, so she never did it to me again. But we had like cereal for dinner or something weird like that, and I had cereal, and for whatever reason I didn't want to finish my cereal, and so she stuck it in the fridge, and I had to eat it the next day for breakfast, and it was so gross. You know how cereal like expands?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was nasty. I'm just looking at this like, what is that?
Oh no.
It was nasty. But like I said, she only did it to me once, because I think she was probably like, yeah, that wasn't a good idea.
Well, that's funny. My grandpa's mom did the same thing. It was like some vegetable or something, but she just kept giving him the same plate, like every single day of like the same, until he like ate it. But yeah, I don't think I could ever do that.
No.
But yeah, that's funny though. I mean, did you eat it?
Oh, I would, but it could get to the point where I would start like gagging. I think I threw up one time, or because we lived in Canada, it was cold a lot, so I would wear my boots. Like I don't think it was as big of a deal to take your shoes off at the door when I was a kid. At least it wasn't in my house. So I'd wear my boots to the dinner table, and I would take my little baby carrots and I'd shove them in my boot, and then I'd go to the restroom later and I'd try and flush them or something, or I'd forget that they were in there, and then like the next day I'd be like, oh, we didn't have a dog at that point. But yeah, and Molly she gets so picky, and Clara does too. But I remember the way I felt. I was like, okay, that really didn't help me, making me sit there until the wee hours of the night. I still wouldn't eat it. So we try like, okay, we'll just try one bite, or one trick I learned was just lick it. Cause you never tell kids to lick things, cause that's kind of weird. They're always like licking doorknobs and stuff. And
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
stop doing that. That's gross. But if they're like, don't want to try new food, you say, well, can you just smell it? And then maybe they'll do that. And you say, can you just like lick it? And you kind of make like a joke out of it.
Oh
And
yeah.
then if they lick it, I call that a success, because sometimes they'll eat it, sometimes they won't. But I won't sit there and make her eat it. I won't bring it out the next day. I might try and prepare the same thing a different way the next time. So,
Mhm.
because even adults, like maybe you don't like grilled zucchini. Maybe you'd rather have it baked in a muffin, or maybe you don't like boiled carrots. Maybe you'd rather have them raw with ranch or something. So I'll try
Right.
those things with her. And then I also try to remember, like, some kids just have a texture thing. Like me, I used to hate the texture of onions. And even now I'm kind of like, ugh, the texture, I just can't. It makes me gag.
Yeah.
But so when I see my daughters like have that reaction, I'm like, okay. You don't need to, thanks for trying. That's it. I know that they're getting enough food. They're obviously like eating enough. They're not skin and bones. But I just trying to approach it a little bit differently than my parents did. I
Mhm.
think that that's just the way everybody did it back then. So that's just how
Yeah.
my parents did it. I never felt like my parents never loved me or anything, but I just think there might have been a better way to deal with the food issue.
Yeah.
Also, the clearing your plate thing. Everyone was like, you clean your plate before you can get up. And now I can say that I do have some food issues, because like I will clear my plate no matter how much is on there.
Mhm.
If it's too much, like, and I'm trying to get better at it. And my husband used to do this really weird thing where he would sometimes make the meal, and I don't know if they just never used serving plates at his house when he grew up or what, but he'll just like plop the whole thing like in front of me. So I'm like, okay. So I would just like eat the whole thing.
Oh.
And he's like, whoa, you ate all that bacon, or you ate all that whatever. And I'm like, well, that's what you put on my plate. It's like, no, that was just there. And I'm like, what's that? So, so I want my kids to know, try a food different ways. Maybe you'll like it this way, maybe you won't, whatever.
Yeah.
Just give it a shot. And then when you're done eating, that's okay. Just be done. You don't need to shove it all in your mouth, because that's what I had to do.
Mhm.
And I've got a lot of food issues now, and I'm trying to
Oh.
unteach them to myself,
Yeah.
and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's just hard, like we mentioned a few times. It's just hard to reason with. I think honestly, I just can't wait until Lily can be completely fluent in English and like understand everything I'm saying, so that I can like have these reasonable conversations with her. Because right now, like, I mean, I don't know how to get through to her. I don't know. She's like, she's so strong-willed, which is great.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
it's great that she's her own person, but like she doesn't listen. And I don't know. I mean, I say no. They say not to say no, but like no is like the easiest word to say
Mhm.
ever in the English language, like of any word that's ever been a thing. So like it's so easy to say no, like it's hard to not say it, because it's, I mean, they're doing something you don't want them to do. You say no, don't do that. You don't have time to think
Right.
about like, oh, what does the book tell me to say instead,
Mhm.
and so then I
Yeah.
feel bad. So I'm like, I don't want to say no to her all the time, but like she doesn't listen to me. So I get to this point where I'm just like, no, no, like I said no, like whatever. And then, but she thinks it's funny, and so she'll laugh at me. Or like Paul will be like, Daddy said no, and then she'll repeat, Daddy said no, but then continue doing whatever she was doing. And so like
Mhm.
I'm like, I just need you to be a little bit older.
Mhm.
I don't know how to reason with an unreasonable thing. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't, but I keep trying. I keep trying.
Yeah, it's hard because she's still kind of a baby, but not really a baby anymore. She's like in this
Yeah.
in between worlds right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't believe she's gonna be 2 next month.
Yeah.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
word.
That's crazy. Oh my god. Anyway.
Yeah,
Now
and
I'm
then you're
like,
gonna
oh, I have to start planning her birthday party. But yeah, so I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to like learn to be okay with being stern and Paul being
Mhm.
stern, and it doesn't make me a bad mom. It doesn't make me a
Mhm.
bad person. I'm just trying to make it clear to my daughter that there are some things you can't do, even though, I mean, she's an angel, so I want to be like, yeah, do whatever you want, but you know,
Mm.
there are certain things you can't do, and it's
Mhm.
just I mean, it's my own personal issues that are getting in the way, I feel like if I didn't have the issues that I have, like the mental health issues or whatever, like it would be a lot easier. Like that's, you
Mhm.
know, I mean, mental health, like it's everywhere. Like it
Mhm.
sucks. It like rains on every parade.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then
no matter what topic we could talk about, like it's just, you know, anxiety makes it worse. And so, I mean, yeah, if I didn't have anxiety telling me I'm a bad person, I would be
mhm.
able to just discipline my daughter and it wouldn't be a thing. I'd be able to send her to her room without, you know, checking the clock every second because I'm like, geez, like she's gonna hate me. She's gonna hate me and she's gonna hate me forever. And I just ruined her whole life. When really, like, no, I didn't. Like, she's not gonna remember. Like, I
Right.
rationally, I know that, but like in my heart, you know, I feel like, oh my God, I just ruined my child, you know, because I sent her in a room for 5 minutes. Like, that's crazy talk. But I mean, that's how it makes me feel.
Mhm. Yeah, it's there's like that little inner voice that like we talk to ourselves. We say really mean things to
Yeah.
ourselves all
Yeah.
the time. Like I think even if you're not a mom, like we all had the insecurities, you know.
Yeah,
It's
all this
ridiculous.
overthinking, that's what kills the whole like discipline thing. Like that's,
Mhm.
you know, it's just you overthink and I mean, same as you, I'm probably like in my head I'm like I'm going to put you in your room, but I really don't want to, but you don't have to stay and it's only 5 minutes, but please don't hate me, but you know, blah blah, like it's just all these thoughts
Mhm.
in my head, you know. And God, and then yeah, and then you know, mental health issues, and Paul gets really stern, and then I start like I'm like mad at Paul because I'm like, why are you yelling at your daughter? Like, don't do that. But then he gets mad at me because he's like, I wasn't yelling and whatever, and like I know that rationally, but then I'm not rational. Like I'm not being
Mhm.
rational. So I don't know. I think like I just need to. I don't know. Timeouts are fine. It's okay
Yeah.
to put Lily in a timeout. It's okay.
Mhm.
She's gonna be fine. It's not gonna ruin her forever. She's not gonna like have to go to therapy when she's like 30 because her mom put her
Mhm.
in a timeout the one time, you know. I just
Mhm.
really wish that Lily would learn to listen because I don't want to put her in timeouts all the time. You know, like I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
want, but it's necessary sometimes.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll even talk to them afterwards. We either obviously I treat my kids very differently than I treat my kindergarten class, but even my kindergarten class after they've missed out on something because they were all, I don't know, screaming and throwing paint everywhere. I'll be like, or when they fight, oh my goodness, I got so much drama at these girls. I'm like, guys, you're like 6. There shouldn't be this much drama in this room, but there's drama. And so they'll be fighting and they're catty and whatever. And then after the fact, I'm like, okay, did that make you feel good when you were talking to her like that? And they're like, no. I was like, okay, well, do you think that did you feel good? Did she feel good after that? Like, no. Like, well, then don't do it, you know?
yeah.
And I'll talk to my girls. I'm like, listen, like you guys were fighting over the unicorn or whatever. I don't even know. Did that make you happy? Did that make you have a nice day? I'm like, no. So even
Mhm.
if I don't necessarily like discipline, like just after the fight, I'm like, did you like that? And they're like, no, I didn't like that. Okay, well,
Yeah.
then here's some tools. Now, obviously, mine are older, so I can like, here's some tools. Express yourself. Say, hey, when you're done, can I have a turn or something? Don't grab. You know, don't just yell and say that's mine. You know, you have to have a conversation. And they're little kids. You know, so sometimes I'll even be like, go sit at the table and you can't get up until your friends get. And so they like stomp over to the table and they like sit down. And I think, oh, they're going to deal with their problem now. And they'll sit there for 2 seconds and be like, I like Happy Meals. Me too. Okay, we're friends. And then they'll get up and I'm like, well, I guess they're okay. You know, they didn't talk about the fighting, but okay, sure. Their little
um
minds are so interesting.
yeah.
Everyone's going to parent differently, you know, and every kid's going to need to be parented differently. What works with one kid is not going to work with the next kid. And no matter what any psychologist tells you or any parent on the playground tells you, nobody's got it all figured out. Like,
Yeah.
I say just talk to your friends who you respect, you know, who you really want advice from.
Mhm.
See what works for them. Try it out. It might work for you. It might not work for you. And I don't know. Parenthood is just like a big experiment. We're all just trying to figure out, is this
Yeah.
going to work? Is that going to work? What kind of reaction is it going to do?
Yeah.
And what works one day is not going to work the next day. And it's so frustrating, but that's because your kids are human too,
Yeah.
and they're growing, their brains are growing. And then you're also growing as a person. So it's just, I think as long as your kids know you love them, you want the best for them, I think they're going to be okay. Because if you really, really love your kids, you're not going to hurt them.
Right.
You're going to mess up, but you can fix it afterwards. That always meant a lot to me. When my parents would mess up, they did come and say sorry to me. And I remember that being like 6. I'm like, whoa, my dad's saying sorry? Like, that's crazy.
Mhm.
But that meant a lot to me. So I make sure that I do that with my girls too.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of the Imperfect Moms Club. If you like what you heard, please visit our website at www.imperfectmomspodcast.com. There you'll find more information about us, a list of all of our episodes, a blog, and even a merchandise shop. We love this podcast so much and are thrilled to be able to share it with all of you.